we're looking at what, like the match to me that solidified your legacy as an athlete is this one that we're about to watch right now. And I know you had wrestled Yazdani before. We're talking about Yazdani first round.
Yeah, that's crazy.
First round. Like,
Insane.
what are the odds, dude? Okay, you know, fine, whatever. Random draw. But this solidified your legacy. If after Beat the Streets, you never wrestled a day in your life again, to me, this solidified your legacy in the sport, because you're wrestling a guy who, I don't know, he's the face of Iran wrestling, who is one of the powers in our sport. He seems like a decent human being. He carries the mantle very well. And oh yeah, by the way, he's pretty awesome too. He's pretty good at wrestling. So when you kind of beat him for the second time, okay, after the World Cup, this really solidified everything for me. Now, off camera.
Thanks, I'm glad that I was able to get there for you.
Well, good. As long as you know that you're there for me,
Yeah,
I'm sure it makes
good.
you can sleep well at night. But listen, you said off camera, you said this guy is the only person in the world that wants to wrestle the same pace as I do. What makes you say that?
That's just what he does. I mean, his reputation is powerful. I mean, just the first time that I wrestled him in the World Cup, you know, just I knew that he was coming, and you know, he was able to really dominate me in that first period, and I was almost really surviving, you know. And then I remember getting a takedown right at the end of the period and going to the break and be like, all right, well, I'm in this, you know. Even though I kind of got whooped up and I was down 3-0, I gave up 3 push-outs, I got takedowns 3-2, and I was still in that, you know. And that was a huge thing for me in my development, going up to the next weight class against a guy that I'd never really beat a guy of that caliber before.
Right. Okay.
So now, you know, going into these matches, I mean, we both dominate people, but it's different. I mean, my way that I wrestle people is technical, it's scoring, it's out wrestling people in situations. His is physical. He just throws guys around, and he's done this to me a couple of times, you know. So I need to make adjustments, you know, as I wrestle him the next time.
Okay, let's rewind it a little bit. I want to go to this takedown. What the heck makes his underhook so good?
No, I think what you mean to me is, what about my headlock?
Oh, okay.
I mean,
you mean turning down on it? That's fine too.
No.
Okay. But no, look at, like, so let's even more.
Hey-o.
I think you just missed it.
I thought it was going to be a slip, I'll be honest with you. In my head, I'm like, I'm going to get a slip on this. I might get it, but I might get a slip. I didn't get either.
Rewind it. Because I want to start with the first hook and then the second. Okay, right there. That's perfect. Okay, because he starts, and he does this to everybody, man. He puts you right with your butt towards the out of bounds. Okay, forces you to wrestle back in, digs in with the second hand over here, and then things go from bad to worse, right? Like, so for me, I would prefer the shoulder a little lower if I were him, right? But what the heck is making his underhook so powerful?
Well, I mean, I think it's one of those things where you know it's coming, right? So you know the underhook's coming, so and that's an adjustment that I was able to make in this match as the match went on, where you know, I was able to kind of stop it from getting in there. And I think what he does so well, similar to what I do, is he makes you make mistakes.
Yes.
So I don't, you know, he doesn't take me down many times from a takedown. He takes me down when I've made mistakes, you know.
Where he forces that action.
Yeah, I mean, he forces you where you have to make a decision where you're going out of bounds, and that's where he's gotten a lot of people. They give up 4s on the edge, they give up 2s on the edge, and in this match twice, I put myself in an unnecessary hole in this match. Now I've always have confidence I can wrestle myself out of it, but I mean, I put myself in a hole that I don't need to be in, and obviously this is something that any opponent that I wrestle is going to be able to take this and be, hey, if we can score and we can hold them off.
Yeah, but see, okay, you say that, but I don't know if that's the case, right? Because look at the way that he's scoring. He's scoring by being overly aggressive with a hand fight, overly aggressive with control ties, and you can't. I don't know for sure, but not many people in the world can keep your pace for 6 minutes. Right? So it's not a matter of, you said it before. Yeah, you can do it in the first minute, sure. Right? We're in the first minute here. Can you do it in minute 4?
Right.
Can you do it in minute 5? I don't know, man. So I guess that begs the question. What gives you the confidence when you're down? I mean, it's 3-2 now, but I think at the break it winds up being 6-2. What gives you the confidence? You were down 8-0 in the World Cup, weren't you? 8-1 or 9-1, something like that. I think you were down by 8.
Where?
At the World Cup.
Against him?
Yeah.
No, 3-0.
3-0?
Yeah.
Is what I said. If you were
But
listening.
it felt like 8-0 because I was getting pushed all over the place.
Okay.
I had been hit with 2 passivities. I mean, he was dominating me.
Okay.
He really was.
Okay. All right, my fault. But what gives you the confidence that, like, no problem? No problem.
I've just come a long way in that aspect. Casey Cunningham, he's the reason.
Okay.
You know, I think in college, he challenged me constantly. Hey, you know, it's just your effort needs to be higher in these situations, you know, and I've always had the skill. That's another really super awesome good technique that I use there on the edge.
I don't know. Well, okay. You say so, and you're obviously being facetious. Let me ask you this. I don't think I've ever seen you hit a chest wrap or a headlock in a high-level match.
No.
What makes you pull the trigger on those?
Well, I just think, you know, this is what makes Yazdani so good, is he forces you to make bad mistakes.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of the things that he does that's better than anyone.
Yeah.
And for me, going into the next time I wrestle him, these are easy things to fix. You know, it's like, okay, you know, well, first of all, obviously you got to control the position before you get there. But when you get there, you know, understanding that, yeah, takedowns are going to make it harder on you. You know, push-outs aren't going to make it that tough. So
you just turn away.
Well, I mean, I spent a lot of time preparing to not be in those situations, you know, being more aware. And I think that comes with, the more matches that you wrestle at a high level, you recognize more positions before you get there.
Okay.
And you got to remember, this is the World Championships. This is first round, my first World Championship I've ever wrestled. I know the best guy in the world.
There's no question, right?
It's like there's a lot of emotions going through that thing, you know? And yeah, I mean, but it was weird, you know, obviously it didn't start the way I wanted it to start by any means.
No.
But I know that, hey, I'm going to keep coming, you know, and I'm going to keep challenging him in many situations. I knew in the back of my mind, you know, what had happened to him in the second period, the match before. So although that I was losing, I mean, I didn't like going to the break down 6-2. I mean, I didn't. But
right.
you know, once I got that first takedown in the second period, I knew, hey, I'm right back in this thing.
Okay. So there's a point in this match where he just pretty much breaks. Mm-hmm. Do you think you could point it out, or do you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know exactly where it was.
You do, huh?
Yeah.
I want you to point it out when it comes, because I have a good idea of when it is, but man, there are so many different points where he's pretty darn close. Even the first takedown, even the first point scored, he, by all intents and purposes, should have gotten an easier takedown.
Well, I mean, I went back and looked before it, and if I didn't wrestle through these situations, I think it would have been, if I would have just gave up takedowns, where most people would have given takedowns, I think it would have been 11 or 13-0 before I would have scored my first takedown. So that's just an idea of why I keep wrestling positions, you know, and that at this level against a guy, and that's what he does to everybody.
Yeah.
Is they give up the 1 and they give up 2, and then before they know it, it's out of control, you know, and then it's just he's dominating people.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just one guy that is going to continue to challenge him, and I mean, we're extremely equal.
Yeah,
You
no.
know, the separation of us is not much. So, I mean, I look forward to this guy because, I mean, I know he's the guy that's going to really challenge me. You know,
I agree.
And we're going to challenge each other in the same areas, which what makes this match, you know, such a respectable matchup between the two of us.
Mm-hmm. Now, you say challenge you in different areas too, right? So, one of the things that you mentioned earlier, again off camera, is, you know, you had to be really, really wary of that slide by, because he's got a great slide by. And I know your collar tie is great, and it's one of the things you've kind of used throughout your career to kind of set everything up. Does it jack with your mind to go, man, I can't hang on his head for more than a 2 count?
I couldn't do that to anybody though, because that was an adjustment everyone in the world made. I think that year I only got taken down 3 or 4 times, and they were all the same thing. Mm-hmm. So it was an adjustment that people were making, and I was able to make a second adjustment, you know, at the World Championships, where I didn't get caught in that position anymore. So, but that's just it. I mean, at this level, everyone's watching me. Everyone's analyzing what I'm doing, and they're trying to make up that difference in any way they possibly can. I mean, all the best countries in the world are doing that. United States, you know, Iran, Russia, everyone's watching. I mean, the film's everywhere, you know?
Yeah.
So, but that's the fun part, is I just have to keep trying to find ways to challenge myself and continue to try and hopefully widen that gap as they're trying to close it.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
This is it.
That's it right there. He bailed, right? He bailed on luck, because he could have continued to wrestle there, but he chose to kind of bail. and just take a blow.
That was a big takedown. I mean,
takedown.
he was up, and just like that, in a minute and 15 seconds, I'm winning on criteria now, and now he has to come after me. And that's a position where,
good luck, right?
I like being there.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then his stance starts to suffer. Look, right? So let's go back. Can we freeze frame that? Rewind. Right there. A little bit forward. Right there. This is a position that's a lot of time there, bud. That's a lot of time to be in a stance that looks like that, especially against a guy like David Taylor. Go ahead, let it run, bud. Wow. I remember talking to you after the draws came out, and I think a part of it was lip service. You just talking to the media saying, I'm excited to wrestle the best guy in the weight class first round. But was there any truth to that? Were you like, man, I don't want to wrestle this guy first?
I just knew it was going to happen. I knew in preparation all summer. I've never gone anywhere and had a good draw. I've never gone somewhere and been like, oh, I got an easy draw. Urigan, tough draw. I'm like, the one guy I didn't want to wrestle first round. I was like, okay, if I had a perfect draw, the one guy I don't want to wrestle first match is Cuba. First match. I'm losing 4-0 with like a minute left, and I go get 2 takedowns.
Yeah.
So it's just like I that year, by traveling and preparing, I had wrestled a lot of tough, across the country, different time zones, and I've been ready prepared. And I just knew that this year, that all year in preparation, I was ready to have him first round, because I wasn't going to be seated.
You were certain of it, weren't you?
Or I'm sorry, he wasn't going to be seated.
Right.
Because he didn't wrestle that year very often.
Right.
So I knew it was going to happen. And not only that, I had consecutively the toughest guys, each and every time.
Oh, it was a brutal draw.
So
brutal draw. 50 seconds left. What's going through your mind right now? You just trying to get to a leg, create a scramble, or is there anything else that you're watching out for?
To me, it's, and I'm just trying to keep scoring. I know that I'm still trying to build my reputation for the next time I wrestle this guy.
So the thought of his wrestling doesn't even factor in.
I focus on what I'm doing. You got to respect what these guys are doing when they're wrestling me. But they also have to be aware of what I'm doing, and the more that I'm keeping them reacting to what I'm doing, that's just what I do. I've talked about before. It's the times I've tried to win matches. That's not my best performance.
Trying to burn clock here.
No, I'm trying to score.
You're trying to score? All right. He scored. And that'll do it. Did you win a world championship in your head right there?
Pretty close.
Pretty close, right?
I knew I had a long road ahead of me still, but I knew that if I could make the finals, I was going to win.
Yeah.
And I knew that I had tough guys ahead.
Sure.
But I was dialed in, I was focused, and I knew that if I could get past this guy in the first round, that I just had to stay focused each round after that.
Beautiful. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate you. Cut it. We're done.